Well, with that victory, the Glazers take the first map and make this series interesting. Because I'm not going to lie, guys, the Glazers, they have to win 2-0 here or else they're going to be relegated. And Shift, if they have just lost this first map, even if they won the series overall, it wouldn't have been very fun now, would it?
No, I mean, not at all. I mean, it's hard to say what would happen because it's a different universe. We're not on that thread right now, but it's one of those things that it is do or die for the Glazers through and through. And that is the cliche of a lot of what these rounds could have been summed up by. Lots of heroic moments where it looked like Winthrop was really starting to put together some great stuff, especially late. I mean, moves saved the day in a couple of the key rounds for Winthrop. The first real kind of, we'll call it thrifty round of what we've had so far today, late to get to an 11-11 tie. But man, I'll tell you, the Glazers just looking like they've been revitalized, and maybe what they need is like their backs up against the wall a little bit, because late into this map, lots of great stuff started to surface for the Glazers.
Yeah, I mean, I've said it before and I'll repeat it. I was definitely worried for the Glazers when I saw we were headed to Lotus to kick things off here, Uber. But honestly, I like the approach that they're taking to this. And yes, there was the heroics coming out as well. But I mean, Winthrop, I liked how Winthrop looked on here, and they're still able to dismantle them, come out on top in a couple of these key rounds.
Yeah, I think the reason why we kind of like the way that they look is because they do salvage early disadvantages a few times in these rounds, right? The problem is that they kind of get themselves into that position in the first place, which is, a little bit rough to see sometimes. The Glazers also played really well on the anti-eco rounds. Like, they definitely had a good read on what Winthrop would try to do and, denied. I mean, we say no thrifties here. I guess it's debatable whether that sort of A-site retake was a true thrifty, but, the Glazers do pretty well to avoid like those blips of variance that can pop up, especially on a map like Lotus, where you are locked into the site and you have to play the post plant from there. So credit where it's due. I think both teams and definitely, had individuals that were able to step up here. It is a really back and forth game, a classic the Glazers game, but they close out a map. That's great to see. Yeah. Now they have to do it in a series.
Hey, this is the first step. We're taking baby steps here, boys, all right? But no, Shift, you'd already talked about moves and the fact in the series that he was able to be stepping up and be able to bring Winthrop some of their rounds. I want to talk about on the end of the Glazers here and talk about Zachary, because there was even just like the first round, the pistol 4K, I was like, okay, we got to watch Zachary this series, and that definitely set the trend.
Yeah, I mean, I think the more impressive part about Zach, it's easy because he's 24 and 17. He played Rays and he blew a lot of people up. But defensively, the Glazers found a lot more success on those little burst defensive plays of controlling C Mound or a Rubble. And in particular, taking a look at it, Zach was 4-0 in first bloods on the defensive side, which is huge. So not only were they finding success with the Rays, they were doing it in a way that allowed them to kind of assert aggression and proactivity to where Winthrop was constantly having to find ways to adjust and adapt. And you saw the first bloods versus what we kind of had overall in the overall scoreboard. There were only a couple of rounds where clutches came into play. More often than not, first bloods resulted in winning rounds. So huge stuff through and through, not just off the final scoreboard, but where those kills came from through the entirety of that first map.
And this was just the first step here for the Glazers, because again, it's not just a series do or die. This has to be a 2-0. We are headed now into the Glazers map pick a choice here. We're going to be heading on over to Icebox for the next map in the series. So, I mean, Uber, when we're looking at the scenario that the Glazers has to be hitting to not get relegated, they've definitely set themselves up for the best possible situation with where they're going next.
Yeah, I think so. Like, this is a map for them that I was pretty okay with, actually. They had to play it against M80 and did a decent job there. They love on attack to really push up mid, like put a lot of pressure on those mid lurks and really lean into them very heavily. Zachary also picks up an operator on Killjoy on this map, and he gets a lot of value out of it there. We do want to see him really control mid and deny a lot of those sort of reflanks that can happen in post-plant scenarios or even sort of early in the round for control. My issue with this team against M80 at least is that their util usage gave the defenders too much room to like peek out and have safe positioning and trade. Like, you really want to shut down that trade potential when you set your util up for the attacking side, especially over towards A, right? It's a different story. There's no great place to like preempt hit there if there's a Viper wall down. So a few things I'm looking for here for the Glazers that I want to have seen tightened up, and to see if we see a composition change as well.
That's where I was going to go. I think for both of these two teams, I wouldn't have any confidence that above 50% that they're going to run the same comps that they have ran previously in recent results, whether that be in Challengers or, of course, the CVAL situation for Winthrop, because they've been playing a lot of Reyna. They didn't like it for a while. They swapped over to a random deadlock. That didn't work over well. They went back to Reyna, and then it still didn't go very well. So it's like, you know, what are we looking at here if you're for Winthrop? And then for the Glazers, the same thing. The Harbor was in the mix. They've tried with Raze. They tried it without Raze. They haven't played a Jet on the map. It's just, I have no idea what we're going to get here, and I wouldn't be surprised to see 2 brand new compositions for both these 2 teams compared to what they've played in the past.
You think for both teams? I mean, I know for the Glazers, they've gone back and forth on a couple of things. For Winthrop University, I feel like the double duo is kind of leading for shift. Like, you're telling me you think both teams are going to be swapping something up big here?
I think they could. I mean, the history of results is just not great for either team to say, this is our comp, we're going to run it, and we know that for a fact. It feels like both teams are still experimenting with what they actually find success with on this map.
All right, well, I'm definitely excited to head into this map then and head into this Asian Select, see if there is going to be surprises on the horizon. Glazers, they still have to win this one. They got to take the 2-0 to not get relegated, see if it can happen.
Thank you very much. And we are jumping in with a double duelist setup. And like we kind of pointed out, the Glazers mix it up again. This time it's double initiator, but not the same kind of look that we had seen from them prior, which was a composition actually that, featured the Sova and the KO. They want to go towards the Gecko here. It's been picking up a lot of steam. It's very powerful. We saw what BCJ was able to do in this map here for MAD prior. Winthrop is going to be moves on the Reyna. Let's see if they can make this work. Double Duelist obviously definitely has its strengths on this particular map.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure, though. I'm not over the moon about the sort of limited amount of flashes to play from here. So Winthrop probably have to dig in pretty heavily on these sites defensively and fight on their feet. That's something that Reyna is very good at doing, to be fair. But it feels a bit scary against the sheer weight of, exec util that the Glazers can wield.
Yeah, and you hit the point of where I was going to go is like, there's no guaranteed flash for Winthrop. And anytime that I feel like I say those words on maps like Icebox, it ends up not going very well. It's so hard to dictate the space you're going to try to jump into because, it's just so difficult to clear every single corner, especially when you've got what is essentially going to feel like a double Sentinel comp for the Glazers. I mean, this Viper is going to be planted and just tossing out stuff to make sure that these executes, which are going to be very well telegraphed, are just completely stalled out. We'll wait to have that conversation till the second half, but I don't love no real true flashes on this map. Really from either side of the spike, but in particular from offense. So tall ask here for Winthrop. Again, they had the most opportunity to make it in towards the midseason cup just by winning a map, and you lose your own 13-11, and now you go to an Icebox where the Glazers have cooked up a new comp for us to look at.
You did good.
Okay, that's actually big information that Riki's able to spot there. That means that, the Jet's playing up towards jail. Zachary sees the foot. Just shoot the foot! Okay. Whatever works for you, mate. Zachary on the Jet, by the way. It'll be a lot of fun to see how this plays out, but Infiltrator there just being betrayed by his Tootsies. That's a rough one.
And you lose your forward progress in terms of the defense is concerned. And again, how do you stall out any hits with no flashes? I mean, really no controlling abilities at all. You've got information seeking from Nasi, but unless the Glazers go right into the heart of the setup from the Killjoy of Jerk, it's just, I don't know. I just don't know how you delay inevitable hits from the Glazers with this composition. I'm really worried about it for Winthrop.
There's my buddy.
We've seen Nasty floating for much of this round. Back and forth from Snowman over towards Kitchen. So at least he's in a position where he can get here in advance. Press the Viper. All right, we're going to go for it here. Just a hard hit through the wall. Anders able to find that. We do have a denial, of that wingman plant. Now, I guess the nano swarms, they're not spotted out in advance, but they were deployed sort of just as it came down. Either way, no plant.
Yeah, I think that was a nanoswarm that got thrown over from the middle of the map. I don't think it was there initially, so good timing on it. Spike to take it up. Jerk does find one, but this will be a safer place to plant. And all you've got is one Lear to play with here if your moves.
Enemy remaining.
Okay, moves over to get healed up though, but has to deal with a double face in the end.
I'm out.
And it is pretty util light now. This is a pistol round, so let's be fair about that. But we get a bit of a teaser of what some of the issues here for this Winthrop composition might be, especially defensively.
And I think the important note, and if you're really digging in, you know, watching this with full attention, is will Jerk hold on to one of these nano swarms as a way to try to toss something from the middle of the map and deny a plant from the wingman, which is often the case when you see compositions with Gecko here. So that'll be another part of it. Of like, if we have to wait on a nano swarm just to be used to counter a plant, that's another tool off the table to contest the opening engagement from the Glazers' point of view.
Winter have been watching tape as well. Look at that tower placement. That is such an anti-Glazer setup, because we know how much they really like to emphasize that push straight up mid.
Well, opening little tussle over through A doesn't really result into too much besides a little bit of damage collected. Moves importantly down to 39, so he would need to collect a orb for an overheal to get back into the mix. Mosh ready to go here, trying to clear things out, and based on the lineup, does this have a chance at flushing anyone out over the backside? Though this lands up top, so isolation is good. Defense has to full focus rotate in to try to support this.
Yeah, got to deny that jet off angle that she can play up in your face defensively. Okay, so no info really for the Glazers. Very limited anyway. And here it is. Moves over to explode and then dismiss instantly. Wingman is not getting that plant down at all. Infiltrator gets involved now. 4 up for the defenders. Drone needs to try and navigate this without any real util to speak of, and even with a decent weapon to hand, Moves is able to win out there. No more heal or dismiss charges for the Reyna though. Living dangerously Moves. Down to a paltry 1 HP. A time swing here from the Infiltrator could be huge. Moves called. Where's the contact? Moves ever winning out on their own. Precision now trades. This is so messy. So messy from the Glazers. That monkey still hanging on their back.
I mean, and just going to be begging everyone in chat, look away, don't watch. I mean, windy inside of A or what? That's tough. I mean, a lot of credit, and I will say, as much as, you know, a lot of people will look at Reyna as kind of like a selfish type of agent. Moves is so good at being slippery with Reyna, and that has always been something that Winthrop has been able to rely on in the past, especially across this map, is consistent performances from him individually on this agent. You even saw the Lear finding a little bit of value there in the middle of that engagement as well. So good stuff overall in terms of being able to set yourself up for being a pest. But man, I'll tell you, if the Glazers go back and rewatch that, I'm sure Andrew would be like, sorry boys.
Unless Ant was like spraying through the wall and not wanting to actually fully swing it.
I mean, he was looking right at him and missed 4 shots, so I don't know what to say there.
Oh, I'm out of ideas. Green wants to clear. Yellow ideally. Then Zachary get in there. Start to make these heroes a relevant threat. No Viper Wall we have seen for years. As the Glazers get up and in. Able to cut down some of the reinforcements coming from mid, but still no chance to get the plant. And Jerk now.
Spike down B.
The superior arsenal was able to nullify the Glazers' presence over at B.
Yeah, it looks like Infiltrator is, yep, ready for this play. Good coordination, really just in stalling out the hit. And it doesn't come by anything in particular,
Stick to your roles and we'll
it's good focus, good lines of sight being covered. And the Glazers not able to get a spike plant down is actually pretty important in terms of trying to like set up the formidability of what Winthrop's defense is going to look like. And now you've got an interesting set of circumstances, because watching Winthrop in the past, this Empress doesn't often get popped. Don't expect it to come out here with the Outlaw in hand, but I'll be curious to see if Winthrop has kind of found a way to, you know, open up space and time for Moves to kind of be in the takeover setup when that Empress is at the ready. You can kind of see the defense here trying to get aggressive over towards A early. No effort for the Glazers to try to counter, at least not initially. It's a knife over towards Yellow that catches out Gucci, and it looks like that's enough for the Glazers to try to push out, but Moves has owned this angle now with the Outlaw and is looking for more of a precision, puts it to rest, and now the defense is completely stretched out, not just by the Thrash, but also by the opening towards A.
Thrash goes out for a peek there. Looks like it actually doesn't end up coming home, so might still be sitting out in the open unless that is Dizzy. Either way, the Gecko is definitely going to be relevant here, getting as many orbs funneled into Riku as possible so they can be very oppressive. And with that ultimate, it's going to be crucial. Drone, okay, can't stick around there. Spotted out by the L drone. Well timed. Zachary's able to get deep. We saw some pretty nasty plays here from Weed, I think, getting under The bridge to Crow's Nest. Zachary, though, doesn't feel quite as aggressive.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is they just don't have to be, right? I mean,
Like,
clear the space, put the knife out, block it with the smoke, get the wingman to plant. And now Precision, who is still kind of an unknown quantity through mid-map, does get beat by Infiltrator. And, whoa, okay, weapon collected. Now it's going to be a quick re-wrap back in towards mid. Got to go quick here for Winthrop.
Zachary's got to do something. He's got to try to find a way to scale forward. He just holds his ground and find 3 instead. Okay. You felt like he was maybe feeling a bit awkward out in that position, but as soon as the wall comes down, Zachary is ready.
Yeah, there was definitely a protocol built in place for that. I mean, everyone's looking right down as soon as that wall fades. And Winthrop, I don't know what it is that pulls their attention so convincingly, where all 3 members are looking down towards yellow, but Zach, life made easy in this position. I guess technically speaking, it's just a really good opening. Jerk was the one responsible for watching that when the wall comes down, and Zach just beats him to the trigger. So great stuff there from the Glazers. Weapon's still fine, though, for Winthrop in particular. You do have Infiltrator with an operator out looking for a mid-cross, and he'll just delete the sentry turret for now, which actually allows Moobs to get a little bit more aggressive through 2, but it has to be measured. We still don't know what's here. Aldrin will check, and now Moobs will once again kind of own an advanced angle here for the Winthrop defense.
Get out of my way.
Yeah, he's had the red carpet rolled out for him by the rest of his
For
team.
real.
I mean, Riku playing curry spot there, and Zachary does go for the Blade Storm. Moobs is canny, just occupying that space now. Is he cutting off an entire route of advance for the Glazers? Still plenty of util, though, to make a decent hit here over to A, but that wall is set for B. They can't throw this towards screens and have that covered off.
The question really for me here is, does Winthrop have any sort of confidence that where this setup is currently set to may not make much of a difference? The hit's kind of been telegraphed now with this execute over towards A. Wingman not going to get planted. The Nanostorm in place for it, but Riku still finds the opener. The only question mark here for the Glazers, is there anyone on the flank? But moves Empress Pop doesn't quite get onto the dismiss fully. So Riku will tally 3, and the offense stays on the site. Infiltrator now stepping in with the op.
Spike though standing by Infiltrator's feet. He can absolutely hold his ground here. Precision now has to come up. They have to play aggressive. 24 seconds left. Beautiful stuff. Infiltrator, again, not with the best weapon set for that kind of scenario. You've got to hand it to the man for cleaning it up. Leaving the operator where it lay. Infiltrator says, I'll just get another one then.
There's a moment in there, there's a couple of shots for Precision that get tallied through the box onto Infiltrator. Makes that challenge maybe a little bit easier. I don't know if he sees the effect of the headshot quite as well as we were able to, but regardless, an impressive play from the Glazers. And I think it's more so off the fact that, you know, yeah, you can kind of bait out some of the Winthrop utility when you throw the wingman in to try to get the plant off initially, but as soon as that utility is used to stop the plant, the Glazers are pushing through it on A in particular to make sure that Winthrop are tested and not able to walk right back into sight. If you're going to use your utility to stop the plant, you're not going to have it to reclaim ground, and the Glazers hold strong on site.
Infiltrator up step, or is forced to save. Marshall in the hands of Jerk. Again, still very cognizant, Winthrop, of
I got the spike.
the Glazers' previous tendency to drive up mid as much as they can. They're really staking their claim to that part of the map, but the Glazers, their contingencies are starting to pay off here on some of these attacking rounds. Moves. This is a pretty deadly spot, especially once this wall comes down, but not before the plant happens, and my goodness, they're ready for it. Beautiful stuff there for Drone as he drops down. Infiltrator off of rafters with the blades, finds one. How do you put this together now? You don't have any flank pressure. Fighting on the site here, and there's all this util now to support the post plant for the attackers.
2 flashes and a snake bite at the ready, plus a lockdown if things really get dangerous, but Zach will deal with the biggest of the threats, which is the knife-wielding Infiltrator. And, well, Gucci, no reason to not try to make this punishing with the Sheriff, and about 1 bullet worth of health, and okay. Collects another, so not the end of the world, but the pockets are already pretty padded for the Glazers. They're going to get their 4th through 6. And boy, I'll tell you, this defensive agent composition is just not really finding its value yet. And yeah, Winthrop needs to talk it through, and rightfully so.
I mean, the duelists are dueling.
Sure.
That's great.
Yeah.
Again, I mean, we're expecting this, though, because they are just quite often sitting embedded on this site here, ready to take fights. You saw the blade storm from Infiltrator as he comes rushing in from rafters, but he has very little information about what the post-plant positions of the attackers even look like, and has to get pinged out by knife. There's potentially getting flashed there. There's just not a great way to play from that site. So Do we go back to them trying to play ahead of this, right? Getting the jet set up on pipes, hold a frustrating off angle. Can you have an operator player watching that sort of swing? There are a few options here, but the Glazers look like they're building quite some confidence here, and they're being allowed to get these post plants.
Well, the thing about it is, and we've already seen it from the lineup of the mosh pit, for instance, is like, if you do want to try to get Infiltrator on an off angle, you know, the Glazers have so many tools that can reclaim those angles, or at least contest those same angles. And it doesn't come at like the same cost. Like when we were watching this map earlier with M80, is it's like, if you find yourself as Turtle Troop against M80, like they had to use expensive utility just to get small space. That's not the case with the Glazers here on this offensive side. You know, spending a mosh is kind of whatever. Throwing out a Dizzy is a guarantee. So, you know, you got the operator out for Infiltrator, but taking an advanced angle is essentially saying we are hoping that we can get a first blood content that goes our way, and then we can just play a 5v4. And you can see it here, Lear pop, but the Glazers deny that utility, and all of that forward space that gets gained doesn't result in anything. It's immediately pushed back. Infiltrator does take down one, but not a trade. I was going to say, you had a player still isolated, but Moobs gets back and he stays safe for at least a little while longer until Nanostorm puts him to bed.
Again, the Glazers are moshing pipes every single round, so Infiltrator was forced off of that angle. Now the cat's out of the bag about the presence of this operator, and we are going to see a defensive lockdown with some overlap. Still means that Infiltrator's going to need to move. Maybe detained here. I don't think they expected to be suppressed. They got out. That's fine. Zachary not so lucky. They're in a pretty safe spot, all things considered.
Yeah, and it eliminates
the... have to re-clear.
Yeah, so it eliminates the ability for Infiltrator to watch much more besides this one-dimensional angle. So he's going to get some contact here, you'd think. There's still a flash available for Drone. That gets popped immediately. And the hit is on. First shot lands. Help from Gucci. Good. Numbers down with Winthrop.
Whoa, hang on a minute. Drone almost rolling back the years there. Nasty able to stand in his way, though. And the Glazers, I mean, they suffer the same issues, right? We talked about Infiltrator having to play an awkward angle post-lockdown. The Glazers have to walk back up on the side with somewhat limited utility themselves.
Wow. Okay. Key round right there. For a second, I thought Drone was about to just get the easy swing. Not easy swing, but follow up for the third. The first two definitely felt like the highest obstacle to hurdle. But weaponry still fine, with a little bit of quotation around the Glazers with a couple of light armors and a Bulldog. Infiltrator, different angle here. Again, is hoping he gets contact without having to forfeit the angle, and he very well may. The reveal does come through, knife is out, and that's enough for the Glazers to get a read that we did catch the jet. We are not going to walk into that operator, and now Precision, isolated, tried to find the road play, but that gets shut down, and Winthrop still with numbers. The Glazers have to null command this with Thrash, surely.
You're exactly right. Here it comes. And remember, Moves doesn't have a way to get away there, so some help coming from screens. Thrash is removed. Moves to be forced off that tighter angle. Give it ready to receive as Zachary comes around the corner. The Rainer is popping off. That's 3, and that'll have to be enough. Now it's Drone, of course, who is felled inside that null command.
I got the spike.
And Riku, the only one actually standing. Safe-ish place to bring the KO back into the game, but yeah, I like that. The Snake Bite's going to deny that. Riku, they are basically out of options. 40 seconds does mean that time is on their side. You're going to have to swing off this. Winthrop allow there to be a plant.
Spike's ticking. Thanks, little man.
This is going to give him a chance at this. Winthrop does get entry, but the Infiltrator's hurt up top. Doesn't matter. Timing of the swing down low is good. And there were a lot of options right there for a moment. I mean, Drone was right at his feet, and he thought Riku may have gone straight into the, wait, I could try to bring him back. Well, never mind. I also have the Thrash right here. I kind of want that too. So many things, so many options for them to consider. But Winthrop, a couple rounds in a row, and the operator has been the difference maker to this point. And if you're the Glazers, this conversation point is all about, okay, we need to make sure that we're not letting too much go, and we're not just taking things for granted if we can just walk up certain spots. We have to use utility to get ourselves into these setup positions that we want to actually get this spike planted, because the contestability of Infiltrator right now is a major problem.
I mean, you have all the util you need to shut that down, right? You know, dealing with, you know, again, you don't even need to use util to shoulder peek an angle. So it's really just a matter of having a feeling for where Infiltrator is playing from. And honestly, the bigger issue in that round is like taking contact lines against a Rainer who can kind of brush off those 1-for-1s. I I do see what the plan was for the Glazers. They realized Reyna's probably playing solo at the side or close to that, so the Thrash is a decent idea. But there was the Sova, of course, to kill Thrash before it would have easily eaten up Reyna, because Reyna can't. She has no verticality. She can't get off the side. If you thrash into her, you're probably going to get her. So that was really heads up, I felt, from Nasi to have a position to make sure there was no detain.
Yeah, it's very, very valid. And those things are a mandatory part of the exchange here, with Winthrop being in this agent composition of, you know, again, double duelist on defense. This is the side of the map that you would expect them to be a little bit more tested. And, you know, these last couple of rounds, they've gotten away with making sure that, you know, they're doing everything the correct way. I mean, everything is very clinical, very methodical. Again, that calculated word I keep going back to in terms of how they're setting themselves up, knowing when to overchow or when it certainly can be punishing. And you've gotten to a point where now you've got a major eco advantage. You've got a couple of the key ultimates at the ready if things get dire. Plus, you still have the op. Moobs is dominating, and that's not stopping anytime soon.
Able to swing off the contact there that happened in Tube. I do think that the turret being spotted here over at A signals the weaker side to the Glazers, but doesn't really help them too much with this current loadout they're working with. They're going to get absolutely hammered. Just reunifying any sort of action in that round, but the Winthrop squad, rather, showing no signs of slowing down on this defense.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Oh, no.
In that round, a little bit more of a given, but the same issues that we were just labeling out are still occurring. And now you have to start to put together something if you're the Glazers in terms of how are we going to deal with this. It needs to be convincing with only a couple of rounds left in this half, because what we've seen in these last three defenses for Winthrop, it's come by way largely of the retake, sure, but they've shown two different sides of it, to where if Infiltrator finds a good opening pick with the op, it shuts down any potential play for the Glazers to get a confident plant off in the first place. But the tools available are good here for the Glazers, we'll say that much. The Thrash being one of them. Hunter's Fury at the ready for the defense to try to play retake if they want to. And yeah, Infiltrator is just going to try to find some timing here. Knife denied, so Infiltrator can actually stay if he wants.
That window is expired. Infiltrator can't really post up nearly as aggressively anymore. So we'll now have to play to shut down any sort of flank pressure through mid, but there's already Winthrop players ready to receive that kind of presence. Okay, Hunter's Fury comes out. There was a tag off that one.
What?
He's having to deal with drone, and oh my goodness, Winthrop showing signs of starting to run away with this. This is getting ugly. Into Tube, Ange goes, which is never your first choice. I'll slip past the owl drone at least. Let's see if I can make something of this.
Moobs has got a read on this, though.
There.
To get the corner peek. No, not fully. The Ascension turret may have provided some visual distraction. But, wow.
One enemy remaining.
This defense is looking mighty fine. And Infiltrator is not freaking missing. Holy cow. Winthrop up to 6. And the Glazers surely back into another dire spot economically. Can't afford everything.
I mean, they've had no great buy rounds really outside the last one, the last 3 or so. And they have the tools, right, to push Infiltrator off these angles, in theory, early in the round. Later on, you don't, especially when you get split up, when you get collapsed on in mid. Like, that looked like that was ill-fated from the very beginning. The Glazers are definitely in struggle city. And they're going to go for whatever they can really get. The upside is they do have a Thrash to work with. Outside of that, though, it's looking pretty bleak for your attackers.
Yeah, it really is. And the thing is, again, it's the contest without having to worry about the retake here for Winthrop, which is really something they should not be getting away with. But that's what happens when Infiltrator pops off with the op and Moobs continues to impress with this Reyna. And the duelists doing the job, just winning gunfights. And for the Glazers, all the success stories of how they were finding good entry, how they were able to clear off angles and win key parts of these sites has just been so absent in the last handful, and you don't expect that to change here with just a couple of Guardians, a Stinger, and some Sheriffs.
Good info off the 0 point of drone there. Tells you everything you need to know about just how advanced the positioning is for the defenders on A. On B, it's a very different story. Just the Gucci anchor, again standing ahead of that Viper wall as the things start coming from the Glazers. Good idea of where this is coming from. The timing is good. Gucci gets the Viper spit down. Might still be dealing with some contact here, though.
is a chance that they can get this clearance, but the spray down is good. The decay comes out perfectly. Trades are decent, and Infiltrator was going to miss on the first, not the second. Goodness gracious, this guy's nasty. Shots are decent on the flip side, but the plant, even though it does come down, just too many tools available. Infiltrator puts it to bed with the knives late in the round, and that's going to get them number 7.
Yeah, frustrating really, because there's no value to keeping a lid on Winthrop's economy when you're 2 rounds from the end of the half.
Right.
The Glazers really wanted the W there. At the very least, they take solace in the fact that it was close.
Last round.
But really hoping for a 5th attacking round here as they get ready to batten the hatches against this double duelist advance.
Yeah, for real.
I mean, I wouldn't be fancying them all that much if I was the Glazers here. Not bad from Gucci though, right? Little spray down under a lot of pressure though, and has to back out of the pit early.
Well, that double actually kind of saves the round, right? I mean, all the players on the outside of the pit that are trying to rotate over defensively for Winthrop, they're there at decent timing, but the kills are not.
Right here.
So, kind of a, reflective in hindsight, necessary double that comes out. Dizzy, once again, finding a little bit of value early, but Moog just does not care. I mean, when this guy's feeling himself, just get out of his way. Holy cow.
Jerk is detained, but there is no way to follow up on this whatsoever. You've created some space, but you have nothing really to do with it.
Poison orb emitting.
Rain has been an absolute problem. There's no 2 ways about it.
Poison's
And
off.
always has the unenviable job of going at like a minute 10 up tube and dying. This time is no different.
That's one of those hard scope flicks that just feels good. I mean, wow. Winthrop with authority on the backside of this first half. And all it was, in certain ways, is just a duelist difference. 15-5, 14-10. A lot of that coming in this stretch of 6 rounds in a row for Winthrop. And like you said, the problem just becomes a little bit more, it becomes worse as the offense starts to come out now for Winthrop, because this is where you're starting to see the value of the picks between the Reyna and the Jet. This is where they can start to, again, take advantage of quick space being gathered. And you have to look over, I think, Ange and Precision, they need to be unbelievable this half for the Glazers.
Oof, man. Yeah, I mean, I guess there's been a duelist diff, right? We've definitely seen like Reyna's resilience there when fighting on the ground has been really annoying for the Glazers to play around.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, like, moves just have, they're just on one today. Very, very good in general. Infiltrator taking that jail spot there just in case Zachary wants to mirror his pistol round play right up there. Okay, already so off, no contact really. Defensive wiper wall thrown up. All of Winthrop piling on through it though. They're more than happy to take some space, and Infiltrator's far from done here. Eventually punished, but Gucci hot on his heels for the trade.
I mean, there may not be another team as good as Winthrop in that extra step in these pistol rounds when they know they've gotten advantages. Now that told, it comes at a bit of a measured cost because the flank is going to be wide open. Move's responsible for it. Riku scouted, Lear gets placed, kind of counters out the Dizzy. And the retake from the middle of the map is also kind of labored, but Riku does well. Goes 1 for 1, pulls the defense of this post plant really far away from the spike. And Ange can step up, play a little bit of bodyguard. Gucci hoping for the spray down, but time is an issue. The reload has to come through. Ange is just playing a little bit of pogo stick on the corner. And Zach will get the hold for the Glazers to win the pistol.
Is that important?
What an important round after a pretty underwhelming attacking side. Going up against a double duelist setup. This lets you get within striking distance of Winthrop's total before the guns really become a relevant feature of this half. Another very close one, as we're expecting to see. And it gets very scary, right? Moves is pushing up, saying, I don't really care if I take damage here. I can remedy that very easily. It's what I do.
Well, and that's the power of the Reyna is, if you look at it like as chess pieces trading each other out, that's essentially a rook trading out a queen. If you can go Reyna for a gecko, you know what I mean? Like, that just hurts the ability to retake so much. In that case, that was actually the Killjoy that drops, I believe, on that extra push through. So it's just, again, you're trading out a Reyna for that. And in terms of how the team wants to set up their post plant, it doesn't matter too much, but the good news here was that Riku is good on the flank. This time Moves first blood with the Sheriff out. There are a couple of Sheriffs in play here for Winthrop, so don't sleep on this pistol anti-eco here for the Eagles.
Winthrop took a ton of damage just off the rip there. I'm not sure if it was like a nano thrown down mid or a mosh or something similar. Even before that engagement began, they were looking a bit haggard. That was a huge Draws his attention down mid.
Spike
Risky
down,
business now.
attacker spawn.
Numbers advantage for Winthrop. They're going to lean into it even with these pistols. Dangerous for precision. Doesn't really connect there. Now, 3 versus 3. But much of the map is being taken away from the attackers.
Done here.
Yeah, especially on this B side of the map, which is the one spot the Eagles really haven't taken a look at outside of their opening when the barriers dropped. So the defense should feel pretty rooted in their positions, even though they are stretched across the map a touch. They're
30
trusting
seconds
the
left.
post-plant retake over towards A, and a lot of trust that Ange can just hold its own ground here backside yellow.
I mean, this is the most important place on the map right now.
Player standing.
And out
Down
fights two.
B.
Put yourself in a position to get lucky is what they say. Ange clearly didn't need the latter. Winthrop was so beat up already and had no util to take
10
that space
seconds
safely.
left.
The Infiltrator will not be greeted with a target to pick off. Instead, decayed to 1 and dispatched.
Yeah. Really good trust there from the Glazers. And, you know, I think the thing about it is it's made it a little bit easier because when the barriers drop, there is that little moment of contact, but it doesn't dissuade Ange from staying forward at yellow. And once he holds that, it's like, all right, I'm here. I'm rooted. This is my battleground. And the messy contact across the rest of the map kind of takes away any flood potential from Winthrop. So, yeah, good follow-up on the anti-eco from the Glazers after the pistols were looking pretty deadly for Winthrop. And now into the bonus round, a couple weapons had to be purchased. I was going to say there is potential of a double outlaw. That gets sold at the last second. So we'll have a Bucky, an outlaw, 2 bulldogs, and a sheriff here for the Glazers to work on their bonus with.
Well, this Pipe's position likely gets denied instantly. Android not even hanging around to be tagged up by the Aldroid. Here comes Infiltrator now behind the Leah. Looking into the back of the site, but have to respect the presence there at screens. Move's going to play the other side of this Viper wall, and Infiltrator gets that high ground position. Position good for 1. And it's got to be headshots for the Owl this round to get kills. And Infiltrator makes it a 1-4-1. Straight into the site, go Winthrop. They're happy to fight, always have been.
Remaining.
They're looking good.
Spike
Yeah,
planted.
looking really good. Stay away from the Bucky. And, well, Infiltrator just gets to work. He's having himself a great map so far for Winthrop. Definitely something you want to be able to see. And with those eliminations, there's a chance that the economy started to be built up. If they win another round with a plan, he could have the opportunity of maybe pulling an offensive operator if he wants to, which is not something they have not, is not strange to them. And that's the power of having a double duelist, is that you could pull something crazy like an Infiltrator op on these opening attack angles. So some things to consider possibly in the future, but for now, Winthrop taking quick space. Again, the pace and the tempo just so fast compared to what the Glazers are used to.
Rick wants to get ahead here. Flashed out. Zachary also, again, wants to play that off angle. So Winthrop have to respect this. They do double face as they make their way through. Down past Nest. This means Infiltrator can get towards Pipes now. Be very threatening to Zachary.
And once again, keep an eye on Ange's position. And this wall is to help out the homies. He's just playing his own angle on an island. And he's so far forward that it's one of those, like, you can make a decision of, like, you can commit to playing super deep. And if you get a 1-for-1, then your teammates should have enough time and space to still wrap back over. Otherwise, you can do this, just kind of delay an inevitable hit and then come help stack over towards the mid side of the map. Drone tested in the corner, gets the first, but here comes the power of moves off the overheal. Back to 129 HP. Wall's the only thing standing in their way.
Ange got dragged off of the potential flank there by the activation of the Viper's wall at B. Okay. Moves goes for the Devour. Leaves them vulnerable. But it still's got to feel pretty darn good. 3v1, and Precision has missed the time to catch anybody making a crossing. Alarm bot over on the side here. Precision's options are unquestionably limited.
Spike planted.
He's going to have to hope and pray there's some sort of a mistake from the side of Winthrop. There's only one snake bite, and there is still Nano as well here. Nano gets called immediately, so now it's just the snake bite, and Winthrop, well, they can use it to delay a little while longer if there's a toggle, but yeah, there's also a decision here for Precision of, do you want to save this? And for a second, I thought he was going to try to commit forward. It would have been a really hard-pressed 1v3 post-plant retake, but he will instead value the weapon, and we will go into a 10-6 tally. Winthrop up big.
Going up.
The Glazers have definitely lost control of this game. And I appreciate what they're trying to do early in the round, right? Zachary posts up past jail. We've got a player on Pipes. They do want to get ahead of this from Winthrop. But Winthrop, no, like they just have to pick together here. They have to expect there to be relatively aggro positioning. And they are able to read it. And they trade, I think Zachary killed towards that high ground. Infiltrator having an absolute ball here. Now the Glazers, I mean, this is a sad loadout, to be sure.
Yeah, and that's a key round 16 right there on your first full purchase to not be able to pull away with. It sets you into a very tough spiral at the moment because you don't have any operators to help you out at all. You don't have any ultimates that are really even close. And how do you stall what is these Winthrop commits? I mean, come on. I mean, how do you stop that? It's just Infiltrator's on one.
No charges
Now
left.
you're getting punished here for trying to play forward. Winthrop have completely read the Glazers and how they're trying to set up. And they're going to leverage their duelists. They're going to leverage the single flash that they have access to guarantee them control of the site. That is so efficiently taken. Again, the kind of round where you can bully, of course, the defenders a little bit based on their lack of money. But still make a very compelling case of the double duelist.
Yeah, absolutely they do. So, I mean, what? There are so many questions here in terms of what do you want to do with your Blazers? I mean, you haven't been able to stop this A hit really once yet at all. I mean, it's just been so convincing for Winthrop getting in, and a lot of that is just Infiltrators winning angles. And I think it kind of goes back to the same conversation point of what we had on the defensive side, where, you know, hey, you just have to stop Infiltrator from taking early angles from you. It was the operator on the defensive half. Now it's just a little bit of help off of like a leer and a pop-up off an updraft. I mean, it's almost too easy right now with him shooting like this. 22 and 8. It's unreal. That really is.
It's a great point. I mean, the flash, as good as it was, isn't really the deciding factor there. It's just Infiltrator absolutely bodying the Glazers players set out in the open. It looked like they were running around like headless chickens. I mean, look, Precision feels very exposed from that spot. They're trying to cross out in the open. I guess, I don't know. I guess they're not anticipating a belt play from the attackers, but it seems like their defensive setup is so flimsy, so easily unraveled here. And yeah, these boys know they're in for a long night. Staring down the barrel of a third map here, and unfortunately, the Glazers know exactly what that means for their chances in this group.
That means none. This is it. I mean, this timeout is the season at this point. Again, the circumstances, if you're joining us here late, is the Glazers have to 2-0 this series to make it in the midseason cup. Everything afterwards turns into a Winthrop auto qualification, even if they lose the series 1-2. And the biggest fans of this series after this map, if it gets to 3, are not even playing. It would be YFP and Thinking Men that are got the most amount of stakes into what happens in that map number 3. So, yeah, key moments here in terms of what happens to the other group and who makes it out of their relegation. But this is the season on this round right here for the Glazers. They've got an operator out for Zach. And it looks like they're just going to, they are going to stack the A site, saying, if Infiltrator feeling frisky, let's see if we can punish him and make him rethink that. But the thing about it is Winthrop are not interested in that opening belt play this round.
Moves wants to come up mid here. Winthrop don't have a way to remotely deal with that Killjoy turret through like a molly or some other mechanism. They're not really going for that play. I don't think there was precision firing shot. I think it was someone behind them. So some of the games have been given away from here, and Drone trying to exploit the window in tube. The Winthrop is so resilient to this. They can just a little bit of damage for so much gain.
And if you're the Glazers, do we really think that someone's just going to bold peek through tube by themselves? Like, we have to anticipate more players there than that. And now Riku's caught in a really weird spot, and they're going to have to be probably the catalyst for this round. I mean, the Thrash is at the ready. Do you possibly do something bold, like throw it right down mid, gain that space, try to separate this offense when they commit to a site and have a natural flank in play? Like, it's a bold call, but Riku may have to make it, and okay, that's a key elimination at a key time. 42 seconds on the clock, we're back to a 4v4. The defense can reset.
Thrash available here for the defenders. That could be absolutely key. Zachary posts up on the angle. Knows Gucci was going upstairs. Infiltrator also set up on pipes, and that's devastating. That could be it right there. Star player neutralized at such a crucial part of the round.
Enemy remaining.
And Winthrop are just going to roll them. It's just Ange left. Again, holding that angle from yellow. It's been very serviceable from that spot. Now being forced into a retake here. The Glazers are in the absolute bloody doldrums.
Infiltrator's just spitting on him, legitimately. I mean, Zach with an operator has to connect onto one. And, you know, again, Zach on Duelist, it's been kind of a newer thing, so to speak, in a way. But that's one of those moments you just have to hold your ground and you have to connect, or at least get a shot. Try to smoke yourself out later, but a moment of anxiety. And now your whole season is going to rely on blades with stingers, a Viper's Pit, a Thrash, and that Viper's Pit has to go to A because you only have SMGs. So like that's going to be used immediately. And look at Winthrop, they know it. They already know it. That's the case. You're going to get top tube control that leads to mid and an opportunity to burst through kitchen if they want to. Unreal.
Oh, that is devastating. Riku just doesn't have enough to cover because there's someone on top of tube. They're drawn off that angle. Zachary at least able to trade back. And moves has gotten awful deep now in halls. Timing enough for Zachary could be good to catch that halls player. Yeah, moves just sort of tucking in on that hallway. Zachary is bailing the Glazers out of this one.
Yeah. Big time. And the thing is, there's weapons right there at his feet. And I'm actually really surprised that Ange isn't coming through mid to collect one of those rifles. Precision's holding deep through Snowman. Jerk baits the plant. Ange's timing is decent here. Whoa! What a knife from Zach! He was running out of tools. Now the reset. And all of a sudden, Nasi's by himself. The dash forward and the ace for Zach. What a hero!
He's done this before. Towards the end of the game, in an important round, Zachary finds another ace. That was absolutely stunning. Winthrop had mid dead to rights. Moves was in halls, for God's sake. But Zachary has the presence of mind to double back. And the follower moves his footsteps, catching him as he tries to get out onto B itself. What a time to come alive. What a time.
You ready for this, Mitch? I just had to look it up. Zach, in the history of his competitive experience, has played Jet a total of 12 times. Hell of a time to have number 13 right now, though.
How many times
Holy
he
cow.
played Brigitte?
Yeah.
That's a real scoop. What an evolution from this player is my point. Now really taking center stage on this Glazers team who are fighting for their survival in challenges. Okay, Thrash gets very little there. Zoning ultimate. Some belts here. Winthrop will perch.
I just connected on the zoning ultimate part of that. Man, it tickled me a little bit like that for you. This is interesting. Look at this little double walk down mid. It's right underneath the nose of Jerk. The question will be if the Glazers commit to this. Oh, so do they check for this window play? Position in trouble. Oh, good battle back. And now there's numbers here for the Glazers. Null command already popped. Killjoy still available for the lockdown if needed. Moves holding on to one corner. Infiltrator goes up top. Still possible here for Winthrop to try to deal with this lockdown. They're going to try to push through it. Unreal.
Good. Yeah, they can compete for that lockdown pretty easily. And that's it, really, for the Glazers. Zachary's heroics in the previous round quickly go forgotten. As once again, Ange Drag kicking and screaming across the map to try and win a 1 versus 3 to keep the Glazers in challenges. It's not to be. Winthrop close it out, evening up the series here, a 1-1, and sealing the Glazers' fate.
Yeah, I mean, we still have another map of VALORANT to play, but that's the series right there. That's the end of the group stage for those two teams in particular. And wow, the double duelist finding value in the wildest of forms. I mean, let's be honest. If you're going to sit here and say with the boys, you know, pre-planning meeting, what's going to be our icebox comp? I don't know. You guys want to run double duelist? Like, okay, you guys better frag out. Boy, did they ever. I mean, Moobs continues to just make me a believer in the Reyna. He's so darn talented, so slippery with it. And then the follow-up to kind of just use the Leer to set up his other duelist and infiltrator a handful of times. Those long pop-up angles on belt. Unbelievable stuff. The operator also ringing true. Great stuff for Winthrop. They punched their ticket to the cup, and now the most interested parties in the series are YFP and Thinking Men to see what happens in map number 3.
Absolutely. We'll be back with a little bit more of that on the other side of this break, because there are, of course, some contingencies and some ways this could play out that should be discussed.
Wow.
face.